I'm Nick Williams. I'm here with Matt Liuag, and we are reviewing Matt's first full month with us, which was January.
Yes.
We're going to just see bring you up to date. We did one video. When I say bring you up to date, because we did a video previously with Matt when he started after about a week or so. And again, this is a follow-up. But how's it going, Matt?
It's going good. Good first month. 28 sales, so I can't complain, man. It was a good intro into the market, and just carrying that momentum into February.
Matt asked, well, what question am I going to ask, or what's the video about? It's to help other agents sell insurance, and Matt's a good salesman, so he's a great person to be sitting here next to me. And I'm just going to ask questions about, and I deliberately didn't ask any questions ahead of time. I didn't feed Matt questions, so he's on the spot. But so you're working telephone leads primarily?
Primarily, yes.
Yes.
Which is a new venture for me because I'm so used to working direct mail, and just working pretty much off of all telemarketing leads is really new. But it's been fruitful the first month, first 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. I would say that the individuals that are watching, their biggest problem is they're scared to go to the door with a lead and rap on that door and be confident in their whole. I say scared. What do you think?
Well, it just comes from inexperience. It's just like anything. Once you do it so many times, it just becomes second nature. And I can completely understand, because I was the same exact way. It's just from repetition. It's like anything. It's just batting practice. So once you see all the different things that someone can say, you kind of almost expect you've seen the full gambit of the reaction someone can have at the door. And so I just would advise them to just do it as much as they possibly can. And then, like I said, it'll just become like second nature.
Yeah, a lot of repetition, a lot of at-bats.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what's the most difficult part? We're selling Medicare, and then you mixed in some final expense, and you've mixed in the GTLs as well? Have you started? Okay, that's a recent addition.
Yes, second week that I started the GTL product, hospital indemnity plans, and so I've got a nice little mix of products to provide when I'm in the house.
And you have some of the GTL sales, correct?
Yes.
And that's the hospital indemnity pays the daily room and board rate, room rate, whatever, for the co-pays for the Medicare Advantage plans. As far as your presentation, can you tell us a little bit about how it goes? And the initial presentation, really that warm up, what are you doing there?
I really will I think I mentioned this in my last video, it's just assume familiarity. You just immediately talk to the person like you've known them for years, and you can comment on anything. If the pets are barking, usually I go into a house, someone's got some kind of a pet, whether it be a cat, dog, but you just comment on anything you see, and you just talk to them, about anything, like the weather, whatever will get the conversation going. And
now I gave you questions in that, like the initial training for the Medicare. Are you using those questions? How's your health? And are you going through that sequence?
A little bit, yes. I've got my own kind of that I'm used to doing, but it's really I just go into it, and any external stimuli that I see, I'll comment on. Just anything in the house, just whatever gets them talking, and then I give them a little brief introduction about who I am, what I'm there to do, and I just let them know what will transpire throughout the presentation, and then I just get right to it. I don't spend a ton of time warming up, maybe 5-10 minutes.
What's the most? So we're selling Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage, and I get calls from Matt in the field, and the calls that I get more than anything are the doctors and the network and the medicines. How's that been?
It's been good, and just from being in so many houses and see so many different scenarios, it's starting to take shape. And if I see a medication, I'll know immediately, usually what I can and can't do. And a lot of times, they've just been in the best plan, and so where there's nothing I can really improve on. But just seeing, I've even starting to recognize doctor names, and like it's just, again, just repetition of everything. There's starting to be a lot of patterns.
Yes. And if you're working in one geographic area enough, And we're in a smaller, I guess, population base wise here in the upstate of South Carolina. But you're working across the state, across the upstate, correct? But you can still get to know some of the more commonly used doctors that the seniors are using. And but that's always a hassle. That's always a challenge, getting used to those doctors. It's always a challenge initially adjusting to that. Well, how do you find out what medicine's in the plan? But that's a big deal, isn't it? It's like because you got to use the plan, the provider search tool and stuff. Yes. How has that been, using those tools?
That's good. I use my computer, and then I've got also the tabs on my phone bookmarked, and so I just I keep the PDF formularies for the carriers right there, and I can just pull it right up. But I've seen his medications for so many years, and now it's just the point. I know what a lot of them are used for, and so just from seeing them so many times. But what I do is I just now when I'm seeing the same medications over and over again, now I immediately will know which tier they are with which carrier, and so it's becoming faster.
Yeah, it's like a big, it's like a Rubik's cube up front.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, it's like putting together a puzzle.
Yeah, I remember you telling me, like, what did you say to me up front? It was like, you don't give me like the full answer.
I don't know. I said a lot in the beginning.
It's like you're just blowing over it, Nick. Just I need the details, and it's just so much.
Yeah, I'm very analytical, very detail oriented.
Yes, and
calling you 4 and 5 times a day.
Yes, and it's okay. I want to stay on track is in helping agents, and here's the question. Here's the questions that agents have for me, like, what should I wear? You know what I mean? And that you can answer that.
Sure. I mean, just what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah.
Just sweater, khakis. I mean, just you don't have to be. I never dress too formally, but I never want to be too casual as well. I mean, what I'm wearing is generally about what I wear every day. And I'll wear jeans sometimes, but I'll have a nice sweater. Like yesterday, I wore jeans and pea coat, nice sweater. And so I mean, I will wear jeans every now and then, but for the most part, I never wear hardly a button down with slacks and the nice shoes. I just like I'm going to church on Sunday.
But these are the questions people ask. They worry about these things. You know this, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I was the same way. And so especially starting out, I can understand.
Yeah, but does it matter?
As far as what you wear?
Yeah.
Not really. Not really. No. They're in their, a lot of times they're in their underwear. I've been in presentations where a guy was just, oh man, I can just pretty much just naked in his underwear, and you see some things that you don't want to generally see, but they don't. Yeah. No one ever comments really.
And your background is the final expense. In the first video, we went over that, so you know this is nothing new for you.
No.
Yeah, but okay, don't ask questions like that. But don't ask questions like, what should I carry to the door? Should I take my bag to the door?
Well, I will say this: when I get to a house, if I've got a direct mail lead and I don't have a preset appointment, I'll pull up. I'll leave my door open. I don't carry anything to the door. My car's running. I don't know if they're going to be home or not, for instance. And so I just go to the door, knock on the door, and usually when I walk up to the door, I like kind of wave a little bit.
Yes.
And give it kind of a stupid grin.
Whether anybody's looking out or not.
Yes. I just do it just assuming that someone is looking out at me, and I just walk by, wave at the house, and then just go knock on the door. But I guess for me, leaving that door open and the car running, I don't know, maybe something, it looks like I'm just going to be there for a second and then run. But if I'm closing the door and I walk out with my briefcase, maybe it gives the wrong idea if I don't have an appointment. And that's just something that I do.
Yes.
Not every agent does that. But
I don't think it matters.
I have
personal
preference. Really.
Yeah, I have that big bag.
Yeah.
You've seen my bag.
Yes.
Do you use a big bag like that?
No, my bag is, because I do a lot of e-apps, and so my bag is, I try to keep it as
Let's talk about the e-app specifically for the Medicare Advantage. And the reason I want to go into this is because things have changed, and I've always said paper apps for Medicare Advantage, but I think that's I've changed that. We've kind of gone in a different direction for two reasons. Number one, these e-apps have gotten very good, and they have the health assessment thing, and you're getting checks for that. You're getting paid on those, correct?
Yeah. Sure am.
So tell me about that some.
About the
Just
e-apps?
using the e-apps and how it's working out, and generally what your perception is of the whole health assessment, that questionnaire, how that's working for you.
It's funny because I input one yesterday and I just put in the data and I said to myself, it's just the easiest $50 I've ever made in my
Yes.
life. I mean, it's just 90 seconds. It's finished.
Yes.
But the e-apps, I'm still old school. I still fill out paper apps, and
Yeah.
the apps are so easy.
Mhm.
These carriers.
Yes.
And final expense, the apps are a little bit more expensive, but the Med Advantage apps there's nothing to them.
So you're still doing some paper on Medicare Advantage.
I'd probably say I'm actually doing probably 75% paper. I use the
Yes.
e-apps rarely.
And then you're going into, like, if it's WellCare, Revel,
Yes.
and then for Aetna, Ascend goes right to it.
Yes.
So it's just done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a continuous process.
Yes. Revel is very easy. That's the one that's just like 90 seconds and you're finished.
Mhm.
So every WellCare app I get, of course, I just go to Revel.
Yes, and that's a good point that you make, in that you don't, these apps for the Medicare Advantage, all the information that you're getting on that app is information you need to have in a file anyhow for your client. So it's so simple. There's one medical question, which is the end-stage renal disease.
Yes.
And then the rest of it is like your basic information you need for a file anyhow.
Yeah.
So why not write it on the application?
Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't know that you were doing that ratio, that mix. So that's good. That's good to know that. Let's see. What else could help a new agent? All right. Let me ask you this: how are you transitioning? Let's say we're talking about Medicare, because that's your primary product.
Mm-hmm.
How are you transitioning to final expense?
I just flat out asked them. I said, "What other insurances do you have coming out of your bank account, or who takes care of your burial insurance?" And I just start a conversation with them,
Mm-hmm.
and just start to gather intelligence and gather information about it. And then I just give a brief assessment, and if I can help them, then I'll try to pursue that avenue.
Mm-hmm. And when we started, you knuckled down because you had to get the Medicare stuff
Mm-hmm.
in line, and you didn't sell hardly any final expense. But now that you're mixing it up, how many final expense are you getting each week? And this is a big deal,
Yes.
because agents need this to survive.
Sure, yeah.
How many do you think is reasonable, and what are you getting now?
So far, it'll be probably 30% of my sales are from final expense
Mm-hmm.
right now.
Okay, which is good. An agent should love to hear that.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, because
And then, well, let's say the hospital indemnity has come along pretty well also.
Mhm.
And I mean, it seems like every time I write a Med Advantage plan, I would say probably half of the time I'm going to put an indemnity plan with that as well.
now that wouldn't have been the month of January. You weren't
Not the
doing
month
that.
of January.
I remember a lot of your calls were for the Medicare supplement sales, and that's it's like because of the nature of the telemarketing, you run into a fair amount of Medicare Advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But how's the Medicare supplement going?
I see a good bit of people with supplements also. I saw a gentleman yesterday that had a supplement,
Mhm.
and he had just taken it out with a carrier that I've actually never heard of, but he had just converted over to a Plan G. So I see a good amount of people with supplements.
Yeah, and let's see, what else for the newer agent getting out there? What would you say? That's a very vague question.
How new are we talking about?
Yeah.
Are we talking?
Here's what I see. Okay, we have a lot of people that are out there. They're not new, but they don't know what they're doing. And here's a good way to ask that, because that was much too general of a question for you. What would you say to the person that says, this is just too much? Because you felt that way at one point.
Sure, yeah. And it's just like learning anything. And I told myself, my, I guess, moment of clarity where I said, I've got to learn this, is where I kept leaving deals on the table where I said, I know I can help this person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know exactly, I guess, how I could have helped with it. Originally was supplements, because I didn't know exactly how supplements worked. And that was a separate learning curve. But I would get home out of the field and then just get right into a PDF or some type of online video. I just made myself learn it every day, and I just went through brochures, and I've got
Mm-hmm.
a ton of notes on my phone that I just went through it, and it's like learning anything. There's going to be a learning curve. Do you want to be good at this or not? And so, and I've got pretty concrete goals set, and so I knew that I had to hit a set of numbers every week, and so you just have to learn it.
Yes, and Matt has worked hard. I mean, he's dedicated to this. I don't think there's any other way, and we may have talked about this on the first video that we did. I don't think there's any other way than to devote yourself to this, just dive in and 110%. And Matt, I see a lot of people, they want to dabble, they want to do this and that, and I just don't think that will work. It's got to be 110%.
Sure, if they're brand new learning it. That's why my first month, when I told you that 9 out of 10 were probably MAs and Med Advantage and hardly any final expenses, because I just was focused solely on that. I've got to learn this, and now I've got a better grasp, and that's where I've started to incorporate final expense, and I know final expense like the back of my hand from 10 years of selling it. So so that's why I've kind of reincorporated that. But I still go home and try to learn something every single night, and just try to learn it a little bit more in depth. So you notice I haven't been calling you as much.
Right, and that's what happens. And a lot of times when you're out there in the field, it's like initially there's 1,000,001 questions, and this it's a good point, because like working with me, you have somebody that you can call, but a lot of agents don't have that same opportunity. Even if you're with an FMO, it's like they're in another state. They don't know things like I would know in my backyard.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that makes it tough.
Yeah, because you and I live 3 miles apart.
Yes.
So you know these plans that I'm writing every single day, like the back of your hand.
Yes, and all I can tell you is, if you don't have somebody like me in your backyard, and even if you're working with me right in your immediate backyard, you're just going to have to work extra hard out of the gate to get the finer nuances of the plans. So it's doctors, it's medicines, networks in general.
It's mainly just doctors and medicines.
Yeah, and then there is that initial grasping the whole thing. Like, you didn't even know Medicare supplements when you started.
No, I was brand new to all of this.
Yes.
This entire side of the business.
So I know people get confused when it's like plan F or plan G or plan C, and then they're like mixing that up with part B and part C and part D. And it's just like a big, I used the term Rubik's Cube earlier.
I was doing the same thing though.
Yes, I remember. It's like, whoa, Nick, I'm not confused.
It can overwhelm anyone, because I remember going through the AHIP, and
yes,
I remember I said to you, man, this is just this. There's so much to this.
Yes,
and there's just so much information. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Yes,
in the beginning, especially when you're working with multiple carriers, like I was. So I've got 5 carriers, and I'm trying to learn them all at the same time. So that's why I had to go home and just start with Humana, and then next night go home and work on WellCare plans. And so that's how I broke it down. I just try to learn each plan by itself, and now I still. Like I said, I still try to learn something new about these plans every day. It seems like I still do learn something new every day. There's a new situation that'll come about where they're scratching my head like, let me call Nick.
Yes.
Let me call Nick.
Nick's been wonderful to work with, huh?
Yeah. You're very readily available.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go in circles here. It's just what I want to do is tell people that, Matt's an experienced agent. What he says is good information. And all too often, Matt, people are like, oh, I'm right, 100 apps a month. And it's like, just not real. And it's possible, like if you have that inbound marketing system, you're sitting at a desk and you get 1,000,000 calls coming in. We all want that. But that's not practical starting.
I think that a new agent, what would help them most is if they just had a very clear roadmap. Like, this is how many leads you need a week.
Yes.
This is how many appointments this is how you set appointments. I mean, it needs to be broken out almost like a syllabus.
Yes.
Kind of like if there was some type of A to Z, I guess, little thing that a new agent could look at, because there is so much to it. It's like, what do I do with all this information? How do I assimilate this? How do I use this information? And so I can understand a new agent coming into this and just not knowing what to do with the information that they're given.
Yes. But it comes back to, okay, it's the hard work, And what you're saying, the answer for that is the study time.
Yes, because
It's the dedication to your craft.
yeah, because someone might have a lot of leads but not know how to work them effectively.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, time management is so huge.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could be the best salesperson in the world, and I said this to Steven
Mhm.
a couple weeks back, but your time management counts for so much.
Yes.
I mean, what use are a stack of leads if you don't know how to work them effectively?
Mm-hmm. And Matt, I have my way of doing things. Matt he has his way, and basically it's what you want to do is you want to take and find the method that works for you. And in this interview with Matt right here, it's like I asked him, "Are you using the question-based presentation?" And he's using some of it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's his own adaptation of that. So you have to create what works for you, and you have to work hard. So I say you wear 3 hats. You have your business management, which is your accounting and your organizational skills and everything. You have to be a product expert, and you have to be a sales expert.
Yeah.
So there's 3 hats you wear.
Yeah, that's good.
And you've got to dedicate and devote yourself to managing all 3 areas.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be a great salesperson. You've got to know your products, and you got to manage your business, which is all the peripheral stuff, staying organized, having your accounting system. If you have a CRM,
Yes.
just getting back and having a system. And I think we've covered a lot. Again, I'm going to be redundant and say one thing again. Matt's a good salesperson, and this is reality in the performance that he has. And I don't see any one person or one personality being better at this than any other than people that are dedicated. But you want to wrap this up, so to speak, Matt?
Yeah, and I would agree with that as well. I've seen all personality types do well in this, from the type A alpha personality to the just subdued and quiet introvert that just went out and absolutely killed it. I've seen the most unsuspecting person just put up the biggest numbers. It doesn't matter your personality type.
Yes.
In my opinion. And
yes, I agree.
And I think as someone new to sales, they see Jordan Belfort or Wolf of Wall Street, or someone, or maybe Cardone, and they think that they have to be this outlandish, boisterous person, but you really don't. Just know your product and just try to help the person. And someone can tell when you're trying to help them or you're just trying to rip through and make a sale. So when I get in a house, I sit down and I just dig in. And I try to get to know that person, and we have our time. If I can help them, great. If not, then at least we had a few moments together in good conversation.
Yeah. And again, you brought up this Jordan Belfort and whatever, Grant Cardone. People look at this stuff and they're like, I've got to be the best out the gate. It's just not realistic. And I said, this is reality. And this is the reality. This is what, if you work hard, this is what your expectations can be out of the gate. Just immediately. Matt started and immediately he took off. So there was no hesitation. And
just remember that you'll know a lot more than the people that you're sitting with. No one knows what they have. They don't even know what company they have.
I say keep asking them questions until they say, I don't know. Yes. And it's true. If you keep asking questions, they'll eventually get to the point where they don't know. And so, because sometimes they'll want to tell you how much they do know. And I always say you've got to put them in their place and let them know that you're the one that knows, but you have to put in the time and make the investment. Matt, I will wrap this up. Any final thought?
We pretty much covered a lot, but I would just tell the new agents, you have to ask yourself, do I want to be good at this or not? And this is your profession now. This is your job. And this may turn out to be a long-term career. And so, like I said, it's just like learning anything.
Yeah, and if you got to put in the time. And if you're not willing to put in the time, then you've made a mistake right there. So you have to make the investment, and that's it. And there's no excuses, is I guess the point. Look, we're going to say goodbye now, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.